Do you all see this right here? Baby, this isn't a custody filing. This is Offset's secret blueprint to steal Cardi B's newborn baby using a law most people in Georgia have never even heard of. Y'all, I'm actually shaking writing this. And you know that almost never, ever happens on this channel. Because I just spent the last 4 hours reading every single filing, every single statute, every single courtroom note from this week, and I'm here to tell you what every other gossip page on the internet completely missed. They are out here telling you the judge said no. They are out here telling you Offset got embarrassed. They are out here telling you Cardi won. And listen, those headlines are not wrong. But baby, they are not the whole story. They are not even half the story. They are the appetizer, and the entree is sitting in a Georgia statute book that nobody is talking about. Nobody. Do you know that Offset's lawyers did not stumble into a courtroom and just ask for a DNA test like some random ex-boyfriend on a daytime court show? Do you know they walked in with a calculated, multi-year, chess grandmaster-level legal play that was set up all the way back in 2024? Do you know that the only reason this judge denied him today is because of a tiny, specific, almost invisible technicality, and that the exact same law Offset tried to use can still be weaponized again, right now, this minute, against Cardi and that brand new baby boy? Yeah. I said what I said. Sit down. Pour something cold. Put the phone on Do Not Disturb. Because this video is about to ruin the next 3 days of your group chat. Let me back up. Let me set the table. Because if you don't understand the playing field, you can't see the trap. And there is a trap, y'all. There is a trap so well constructed I am genuinely impressed and disgusted at the same time. That is not a sentence I throw around lightly. That is a sentence I have used maybe twice in the entire history of this channel. And both of those times, baby, both of those times, I was right. Cardi B, our girl, our hot girl, our flag on the pole queen, just welcomed a brand new baby boy with her current partner Stefon Diggs. Beautiful baby. Healthy baby. By all accounts, a baby that is loved, planned, and fully claimed by his actual biological father. Stefon has been at every appointment, every hospital visit, every nursery setup. The man is locked in. He is present. He is a father in the truest, most active sense of the word. There is no question, in real life, about who that baby's daddy is. Zero. None. Not even a whisper. Not even a side-eye from a stranger in a Walgreens parking lot. Nothing. The biological reality is settled. But here is where it gets ugly. Here is where the law walks in wearing a black hood. Because Cardi and Offset, despite filing for divorce more than a year ago, are still legally married. Still. As in, on paper, in the eyes of the state of Georgia, on every single tax document and every single county record, those two are husband and wife. That divorce has been sitting in legal purgatory since 2024. And every single time it got close to being finalized, something happened. A delay. A motion. A continuance. A scheduling conflict. A new filing. A new objection. A new demand for documentation. Always something. Always Offset's side. Funny how that works. Funny how every single time we got close to closing that book, a brand new chapter mysteriously appeared on Offset's lawyer's desk. Now hold that thought, because it's about to become the most important thought in this entire story. In the state of Georgia, there is a statute. Quietly tucked into the official code. Section July 19, 43. The marital presumption of paternity. Say it with me. Marital. Presumption. Of. Paternity. Translation, baby, into normal English. If a married woman in Georgia gives birth to a baby while she is still legally married, the law automatically, by default, with no DNA test required, with no questions asked, assumes that her legal husband is the biological father. Even if everybody on planet Earth, including the actual biological father, knows that is not true. Even if the husband has not lived with that woman in years. Even if she is publicly in a brand new relationship with another man whose face is plastered on every Sunday night football broadcast in America. The state still says, on paper, until proven otherwise, the husband is the daddy. I want you to read that again. I want you to read it 3 times. Because that single sentence is the entire reason we are here right now. That single sentence is the entire reason a brand new mother had to spend the first weeks of her son's life answering legal motions instead of just rocking her baby to sleep. And it gets worse. Because the statute does not just create that presumption. The statute also creates a window. A specific, limited, ticking clock window during which the husband, and only the husband, can challenge that presumption and request a paternity test. That window is 2 years. 24 months. 730 days. From the moment that baby takes a breath, the husband has 2 years to walk into a Georgia courtroom and say, "Hold on, that one ain't mine, let's get a swab." After 2 years, the door slams shut. Locked. Bolted. Sealed. The presumption becomes permanent, and the husband is, in the eyes of the law, that child's father forever. Forever forever. As in, on the birth certificate forever. As in, on the inheritance line forever. As in, with parental rights forever. Y'all. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because Offset's legal team saw it. They saw it years ago. And they did something with that information that I am still trying to wrap my brain around. I have rewound this story in my head about 100 times since the news broke, and every single rewind, I see another layer. Another decision. Another fingerprint on the strategy. Let me walk you through the timeline, because this is where the calculated villain energy turns from rumor into receipts. 2024, Cardi files for divorce. Public. Loud. Done. She is over it. She is done. She is moving on. Everybody applaud. Except the divorce doesn't move. It just sits there. Why? Because Offset's legal team starts dragging. They request extensions. They miss filings. They ask for mediation. They request property valuations. They want forensic accountants. Every single procedural lever you can pull to slow down a divorce, they pull it. Methodically. Surgically. With a smile. With a checklist. With a calendar pinned to a corkboard somewhere in a downtown Atlanta office where somebody, probably wearing a very expensive suit, is crossing off days the same way a hunter tracks a deer. Was that a coincidence? Was Offset just an emotional man who didn't want to let go? Possibly. I'm not a mind reader. But here's what I do know. Every single month that divorce stays open is another month Cardi remains, legally, his wife. And every single month she remains his wife, the marital presumption of paternity is sitting there, loaded, cocked, waiting. Like a spring trap with the hair trigger pulled all the way back. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for the right baby. Waiting for the right headline. Late 2024. Cardi goes public with Stefon Diggs. The internet loses its mind. Beautiful couple. Wholesome content. Everybody happy. Except the divorce still hasn't moved. Still sitting there. Still stuck. Still convenient. Convenient is the word, baby. Convenient. Underline it. Highlight it. Bold it. Early 2025. Cardi announces the pregnancy. The world celebrates. Stefon is at her side. The biological father is publicly known. Confirmed. Photographed. Tagged. Posted. Cardi is essentially handing the world a notarized receipt saying this is not Offset's baby, this will never be Offset's baby, please leave us alone. And what does Offset's team do? Do they speed up the divorce so the legal situation matches the actual reality? Do they file a clean, simple acknowledgement of non-paternity to make it easy on everybody? No, baby. They do nothing. They sit. They wait. They watch. They sip their coffee. They cross off days. Because they know what's coming. They know what the calendar is about to hand them on a silver platter with a bow on top. This summer. Baby boy is born. Healthy. Loved. Already claimed by Stefon. And within days, like a buzzard circling, Offset files a motion in a Georgia court requesting a DNA test on a child who is, biologically, factually, photographically, publicly, not his. And he uses what statute to do it? Say it with me one more time. OCGA Section July 19, 43. The same marital presumption of paternity that is supposed to protect babies, marriages, and families is being weaponized to claim a baby that doesn't belong to him. Y'all. The audacity. The strategy. The cold calculated chess of it all. This was not a man in his feelings. This was not a heartbroken ex acting out. This was a multi-year, document by document, calendar-watching legal trap. And he almost pulled it off. He almost. The only thing standing between this man and possibly inserting himself legally into the life of a baby that is not his was a judge with a backbone and a brand new mother with a phenomenal legal team. Because here is where the judge enters the chat. And listen, I do not say this often, but I have to say it now. Whoever that judge is a hero. A literal, robe-wearing, gavel-banging hero of the American legal system. Because that judge looked at the filing, looked at the facts, looked at Offset's lawyers, and basically said, "Sir, are you serious? Are you genuinely standing in my courtroom right now asking me to drag a newborn baby and a brand new mother into a DNA dispute when the actual biological father is on Instagram with the baby on his chest as we speak? Are you out of your entire mind? Are you out of your everlasting fish-smelling Atlanta summer mind?" The judge denied the motion. Slam. Done. Get out. Pack your things. Take your strategy with you. And the internet went wild. Cardi won. Offset lost. Judge dragged him. End of story. Roll credits. Move on. Except. Here is where every other gossip channel stops, and here is where this channel keeps going. Because the judge did not say Offset can never file again. The judge did not say the marital presumption of paternity is invalid. The judge did not say the 2-year window is closed. The judge denied that specific motion, on that specific day, with that specific paperwork. That is it. That is all the ruling did. That is the entire scope of what happened in that courtroom. The law is still on the books. The 2-year clock is still ticking. The divorce is still not finalized. And the door, baby, the door is still cracked open just enough for a calculated villain to walk back through it whenever he feels like it. Get this. Now I want to take a breath, because I know that was a lot. I want to take a breath, and I want to talk about something that nobody on the internet is talking about right now, and I think it's the most important part of this whole conversation. Because I have been watching the comments, I have been reading the threads, I have been on Reddit, I have been on the timeline, and everywhere I look I see women cheering, women celebrating, women saying we won, we got him, we beat the system. And listen, I love that energy. I love a victory lap. I love a hot girl moment. But baby, you cannot do a victory lap on a track that is still on fire. Because here is what I need every woman watching this video to understand. This statute does not just apply to Cardi B. This statute applies to every woman in the state of Georgia. Every single one. If you are legally married, if your divorce is dragging, if your soon-to-be ex has a reason to want leverage over you, this exact same law can be used against you. Not maybe. Not theoretically. Actually. Today. Tomorrow. Next month. The Tuesday after that. Any random Tuesday a vindictive man wakes up and decides to make a phone call to a lawyer. And I started thinking, how many women, how many regular non-famous women in Georgia, are sitting in this exact trap right now and don't even know it? How many women have had a baby with a new partner while a divorce is dragging in some county courthouse, and have no idea that their estranged husband could legally march in and request a DNA test on their child? How many women had no idea the clock was ticking? How many women had no idea that 2-year window exists? How many women had no idea the word presumption could turn their entire family upside down? How many women are about to find out the hard way because some local newspaper is going to pick up this story and somebody's bitter ex is going to read it and have an idea? And the answer, y'all, is a lot. A lot. The legal community is already losing it. Family law attorneys all over Georgia are writing op-eds this week saying the legitimation statute and the marital presumption of paternity need to be reformed, immediately, because they are being weaponized in ways the legislators never imagined when they wrote them in the first place. Some of these laws are decades old. They were written in a time when divorces were short, marriages were stable, and the concept of a husband intentionally stalling a divorce so he could later challenge paternity of his ex-wife's new baby was, frankly, science fiction. Now it is just Tuesday. Now it is just a regular news cycle. Now it is just another reason to keep your phone on Do Not Disturb. I read one op-ed this week, written by a Georgia family law attorney, that said, and I am paraphrasing because I do not want to misquote her, that this case should be a wake-up call for the entire state. She said the marital presumption of paternity, in its current form, is a relic. A leftover. A leftover from a time when the law assumed husbands and biological fathers were always the same person. That assumption, in 2026, baby, is laughable. And yet here we are. Living inside a statute book written for a world that does not exist anymore. Now let me get back into the receipts. Because I promised you receipts, and I deliver receipts. Get this. The Reddit theorists, the ones I roll my eyes at half the time but who occasionally cook, have been digging. And what they have found is, frankly, terrifying. Because Reddit, for all its chaos, has a way of connecting dots that the mainstream gossip outlets just refuse to connect. Theory number 1. The divorce stall was strategic. Not emotional. Not nostalgic. Strategic. Every single delay in the divorce filings, every single missed deadline, every single requested extension, lines up with Cardi's relationship milestones with Stefon. The closer she got to him, the slower the divorce moved. The more public she got with him, the more procedural roadblocks appeared. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. And patterns, in court, are called evidence. Patterns are the difference between a feeling and a filing. Theory number 2. The Instagram trial balloon. Remember a few months ago, Offset posted that cryptic story implying he might be the father of Cardi's baby? Remember how the internet roasted him? Remember how he deleted it within hours? Yeah. Reddit thinks, and several attorneys quietly agree, that post was not random. That post was a test. A trial balloon. A way to gauge the public reaction before the actual legal filing dropped. Because if the public believed it, even for a second, it would help his eventual courtroom narrative. It would create just enough doubt, just enough buzz, just enough I don't know maybe energy that a judge somewhere might take the request seriously. The post failed. The public laughed. But the strategy, baby, the strategy was real. The strategy was sitting in a folder on somebody's laptop labeled Plan B, just in case Plan A imploded in public. Theory number 3, and this is the one that keeps me up at night. There is a separate statute in Georgia called the legitimation statute. Legitimation. Different from the marital presumption, but related. Under legitimation, a man who believes he is the biological father of a child can petition a court to be legally recognized as that father, even if he is not married to the mother and even if another man is on the birth certificate. The petition has its own clock, its own window, its own requirements. And several attorneys this week have pointed out that Offset, depending on how the next 2 years play out, could potentially attempt a legitimation petition as a backup strategy. Now would it win? Probably not. The biological evidence is overwhelmingly against him. Stefon is the father. Everybody knows it. A simple DNA test would end the conversation in a single afternoon. But here is the trick. He does not need to win. He just needs to file. Because every filing means court appearances, legal fees, public spectacle, emotional stress, custody negotiations, and a constant cloud hanging over a brand new family that just wants to raise a baby in peace. The cruelty is the process. The process is the punishment. The punishment is the point. Read that line again. The cruelty is the process. The process is the punishment. The punishment is the point. That is what nobody is talking about. The win for Offset, if there ever was one, was never about getting custody of the baby. He was never going to get custody. He probably knew that from day one. The win was always about leverage. About inserting himself into Cardi's life on his own terms, on his own timeline, in a way she could not refuse, by using the one tool the legal system handed him on a silver platter. The marital presumption. The ticking clock. The unfinished divorce. The 3 pillars of a perfect, calculated, almost untouchable strategy. The trinity of legal terrorism dressed up as a custody dispute. And now, do you understand why this story matters so much more than the headline made it look? Do you understand why I'm sitting here losing my mind in a recording booth on a Tuesday night? Do you understand why this is not just a Cardi story, but a Georgia story, an American story, a story about every woman who has ever tried to leave a marriage and found out the law was not built for her, the law was built for him? I want to talk about Stefon for a second too, because nobody is talking about Stefon. Stefon, by every available account, has been a stand-up partner. He has not posted clout-chasing photos. He has not given dramatic interviews. He has not gone on any podcast trying to defend his manhood. He has done the one thing every father is supposed to do, which is, be present, be quiet, be steady, and protect his family. And in a culture that constantly demands men perform their masculinity in the loudest possible way, that quiet steady presence is a flex. A real flex. Not a Instagram flex. A grown man flex. The kind of flex that does not need a caption, because it shows up in the diapers, the doctor's appointments, the 3 a.m. feedings, and the silent walks around the block with a sleeping baby on the chest. I would also be doing you a disservice if I did not mention, briefly, that there are some people online, you know who you are, who are out here defending Offset. Trying to spin this as a heartbroken ex who just wants closure. A man fighting for what he believes is his. A misunderstood figure. To those people, baby, I say with all the love in the world, please log off, drink some water, touch grass, and read a single Georgia statute before you open your mouth. This is not a man fighting for closure. This is not a man in his feelings. This is a man with a legal team, a calendar, and a strategy. Closure does not require a statute number. Closure does not require a 2-year window. Closure does not require a divorce that has been stalled for over a year on purpose. Closure is a phone call. Closure is therapy. Closure is signing the papers and walking away. Closure is not a courtroom filing on a newborn. Closure is not weaponizing a statute. Closure is not turning a baby's first weeks into a legal exhibit. Now I want to switch gears for a moment, because I think it is important, and I think it is something the gossip channels are completely missing. Why this law exists in the first place. Because I want to be fair. I want to be balanced. I do not want to come at this thing from one angle only. The whole point of this channel is that we do the work other channels skip. The marital presumption of paternity, in its original form, was actually written to protect children. Believe it or not. Centuries ago, when DNA testing was not a thing, the presumption existed to make sure that a child born inside a marriage automatically had a father on the birth certificate, an inheritance line, a legal guardian, and a financial protector. The presumption was a shield. A shield that said, no matter what, this baby has a legal father, this baby will not be left in a paperwork vacuum, this baby is somebody's responsibility. That was the original intention. That was the spirit of the law. The law was supposed to keep babies from falling through the cracks of a slow administrative system. But laws are like tools. A hammer can build a house, or a hammer can break a window. The same statute that was originally designed to protect children can, in the wrong hands, with the wrong intentions, on the wrong timeline, be used to do the exact opposite of what it was designed to do. And that, baby, is exactly what Offset's legal team tried to do. They picked up the shield and tried to use it as a sword. And that is why the legal community is in an uproar. That is why the op-eds are being written. That is why the law needs to be reformed. Not abolished. Reformed. There is a difference. A massive difference. A difference that lives in the details of how a statute is worded and who gets the benefit of the doubt. Because the goal is not to throw out a statute that has protected millions of children over the centuries. The goal is to add modern guardrails so that the statute cannot be used as a weapon by a husband who is intentionally stalling a divorce so he can later challenge paternity of his ex-wife's new baby. That is the conversation that needs to be happening this week. Not just on this channel. In every state house, in every law school, in every family court, in every newspaper. This needs to be everywhere. This needs to be on the cover of every law review. This needs to be on the desk of every state legislator in Atlanta by Friday morning. And I am going to make sure it is everywhere on this channel. I have already reached out to 2 Georgia family law attorneys, both of whom have offered to come on a future video and break down the statute in even more detail, with even more case examples, and even more on what specifically can be done to fix the loophole. So if you want that follow-up video, please drop a comment below telling me you want it. The algorithm rewards engagement, and your engagement is what keeps this kind of deep dive content possible. I am not interested in just dropping a hot take and disappearing. I am interested in actually moving the needle. And I cannot do that without you. We have to do this together. This channel is not a one-woman show. This channel is a movement. Sometimes that sounds dramatic, but right now, in this story, with this baby, with this law, it really is the most accurate word. Get this. I want to take a moment and read you, word for word, the specific text of OCGA July 19, 43, because I do not think most of the people commenting on this story have actually read it. They have read someone else's tweet about it. They have read someone else's headline. But they have not read the statute. And the statute is, baby, the statute is breathtaking in how clean it is. There is no ambiguity. The husband. The window. The presumption. The clock. Everything you need to weaponize it is right there in black and white. The legislators who wrote it, decades ago, could not have anticipated a world where a husband would purposely stall a divorce to keep that weapon in his pocket. They could not. They were writing in a different century. They were writing for a different America. And the law, like an old gun in an attic, just sat there for decades, fully loaded, waiting for somebody calculating enough to pick it up. Offset picked it up. Now I want you to imagine, for a second, that this story had played out in any state other than Georgia. Imagine California. Imagine New York. Imagine Florida. In most of those states, the marital presumption is significantly weaker, the window to challenge is much longer or much shorter depending on the jurisdiction, and several states have already passed reforms that block exactly this kind of move. Georgia, unfortunately, has not. Georgia is one of the last holdout states where this particular play is still possible. Which raises the next question. Did Offset's team intentionally keep the case in Georgia jurisdiction because they knew the law there was friendlier to this strategy than the law in other states? I am just asking the question. I am just asking. Make of that what you will. Take that information and walk with it. Carry it in your pocket like a quarter. Because forum shopping is a real thing, baby, and lawyers do it every single day. Let me also address something I have been seeing in the comments on other gossip channels, because I know you are going to bring it up if I don't, and I want to handle it head on. There are people saying, well, Cardi could have just waited to get pregnant until after the divorce was final. There are people saying, this is Cardi's fault for moving on too fast. There are people saying, she put herself in this situation by not waiting. There are people saying, she should have predicted this. There are people saying, this is what you get. Baby. 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 Let me say this with my full chest. A woman's reproductive choices, a woman's relationships, a woman's timeline, a woman's body, are not, and have never been, contingent on a man's willingness to sign a divorce decree. That is not how grown women work. That is not how autonomy works. That is not how 2026 works. If a man is intentionally stalling a divorce to keep legal leverage over a woman's life, the fault, the blame, the responsibility, lies entirely with the man. Not the woman. Not for one single second. Not for one single line of one single op-ed, period. End of conversation. Move on. Next question. If anything, this entire situation is the strongest possible argument for reforming Georgia divorce law so that one spouse cannot indefinitely delay a divorce for strategic purposes. There should be a hard limit. A clock. A reasonable timeline. If both parties have agreed in principle to divorce, the state should have a maximum window after which the divorce is automatically finalized, regardless of procedural delays. That alone would close most of the loophole we are talking about today. Most of it. Not all. But most. And honestly, most of any loophole is a massive win in family law, where wins this big are extremely rare. Now I know what some of you are going to ask. You are going to ask, what happens next? What is the next chapter in this story? And the honest answer is, I don't know. Nobody knows. But here is what I am watching for, and here is what you should be watching for too. Take notes. Screenshot this. Bookmark it. Number 1. The status of the divorce. The single most important variable in this entire situation. The faster that divorce is finalized, the less leverage Offset has. If that divorce is finalized in the next 30 days, the marital presumption of paternity becomes legally irrelevant, because they will no longer be married at the time of any further filings, and the entire strategy collapses overnight. So watch the divorce docket. Watch the court calendar. Watch the news. Refresh those court records like you refreshed the Beyoncé tour announcement page. Number 2. Any new motions filed by Offset's legal team. They have already shown they will exploit any legal opening they can find. If they pivot to a legitimation strategy, if they file a new motion under a different theory, if they appeal the denied DNA test, you will see it first on this channel because I am literally setting up calendar alerts for these dockets. Yes I am. Yes I am. Every single Fulton County and DeKalb County filing notification is about to land in my inbox. I am that committed. We are that committed. Number 3. Any public statements from Cardi or her legal team. Cardi, to her credit, has been almost completely silent in public throughout this entire ordeal. She has been letting the lawyers do the talking. She has been protecting the baby. She has been protecting her peace. But if and when she does decide to speak, you better believe it is going to shake the whole internet to its foundation. That woman has receipts. That woman has stories. That woman has been holding her tongue, and when the tongue gets loose, it is going to be biblical. Old Testament biblical. Plagues and pillars of salt biblical. Number 4. The legislative response. Will the Georgia state legislature actually do anything about the loophole, or will they let it sit, the way they have let it sit for decades? That is going to depend, in part, on public pressure. Which means this story, this case, this moment, has to stay loud. It has to. We cannot let this one fade. We cannot let this become a forgotten footnote on a slow news week. Because if we do, the next woman this happens to will not have a famous name and a legal team and an army of fans behind her. The next woman will be a regular woman in a regular Georgia town, with a regular soon-to-be ex who happens to be slightly more calculated than your average bear, and she will lose. She will lose, baby. Because the law, as it stands today, is built to let him win. The law, as it stands today, hands him the gun and asks her to apologize for being in the room. So I am asking you. I am literally asking you. Share this video. Talk about this case. Tag your friends. Tag your sisters. Tag your cousins in Georgia. Tag the lawyers in your life. Tag the legislators in your timeline. Make this loud. Because the only thing that actually moves law, baby, is loud, sustained, undeniable, organized public pressure. That is it. That is the magic formula. That is the only thing that has ever worked, in any era, for any cause. Loud. Sustained. Organized. Repeat. Loud. Sustained. Organized. Repeat. Until somebody in a suit in Atlanta has no choice but to write a new bill. And before I wrap, I want to give one more shout out, one more spotlight, to the family law attorneys who have been writing about this case all week. The op-eds. The TikToks. The threads. The breakdowns. They are doing the work. They are educating the public. They are translating statute into plain English so that regular women can understand what is happening and what to watch out for. They are the real heroes of this conversation, and I am going to be linking some of their work in the description box below. Please go read them. Please go follow them. Please go support them. They do not get the views that the gossip channels do, but they deserve every single one and then some. Family law attorneys are out here doing the Lord's work for free on TikTok, and y'all need to subscribe to them yesterday. Get this. As I am literally finishing the recording of this video, I just got a notification that another commentary channel just dropped a take on the same story, and they led with the line, "The judge denied the DNA test, end of story, congratulations Cardi." End of story. End of story. Nothing about the statute. Nothing about the timeline. Nothing about the divorce stall. Nothing about the 2-year window. Nothing about the legitimation backup. Nothing about the legislative loophole. Nothing about the regular Georgia women trapped in this exact same situation right now with no fans, no lawyers, no money, no platform. Just, judge denied, Cardi won, end of story. Lazy. Surface. Disappointing. Baby. It is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the story. And if you watched this video all the way through, you now know more about this case than 90% of the people commenting on it on every platform you log into for the next 2 weeks. You are now the educated one in your group chat. You are now the friend who actually knows what is going on. Wear that like a crown. Wear it like a flag. Wear it like a hot girl coat. Wear it like the legal scholar you secretly are. So here is what I want you to do, right now, before this video ends. I want you to comment below with 3 things. Number 1, what is your reaction to the marital presumption of paternity loophole? Number 2, do you think Georgia should reform the statute, and if so, how? Number 3, do you want the follow-up video where I bring on the 2 Georgia family law attorneys to break this down in even more detail? Drop those 3 answers in the comments and let's get this conversation moving. Because I am telling you, if we make enough noise, if we keep this story alive long enough, we might actually be able to push the kind of legal reform that protects the next Cardi. The next Cardi who doesn't have a publicist. The next Cardi who doesn't have a private attorney. The next Cardi who is just a regular Georgia mom trying to start a new chapter and finding out, the hard way, that her old chapter still has legal teeth. And one more thing, because I cannot leave you without this. If you are watching this video right now, and you live in Georgia, and your divorce has been dragging on for more than a year, and you are in a new relationship, and you are even thinking about starting a family, please, please, please talk to a family law attorney first. Not in 2 months. Not in 2 weeks. This week. Today, if you can. Make sure you understand the timeline, the statute, the window, the presumption. Make sure you know your rights and your risks. Because the most dangerous version of any law is the one you do not know exists. And now you know. You know. You can no longer be ambushed by a statute you have never heard of. That ambush is over. The element of surprise belongs to you now. That is your protection. That is your shield. That is your starting line. That is your weapon. That is your light switch in a very dark hallway. And now, baby, since we're already deep, let me give you one more layer the headlines refuse to touch. Custody adjacency. Custody adjacency is the term family law attorneys quietly use when a person who is not the biological parent tries to use the legal system to maneuver themselves into a position adjacent to a child's life. Visitation. Holiday access. Decision-making input. School notifications. Medical alerts. Travel permissions. All of it. None of it requires full custody. None of it requires a court win on paternity. It just requires a small, surgical foothold in the legal record. One acknowledged motion. One settled stipulation. One quietly worded consent order. That is all it takes to become, in legal terms, a relevant adult in that child's file. Forever. And that, baby, that, is what I believe Offset's team was actually angling for. Not full custody. Not even partial custody. Custody adjacency. A foot in the door. A name in the file. A reason to be CC'd on every official document attached to that baby for the next 18 years. A way to make sure that, no matter how peaceful Cardi and Stefon try to make their home, Offset's name is always somewhere in the paperwork. Always somewhere in the inbox. Always somewhere in the calendar invite. That is the leverage. That is the prize. That is the actual finish line of this entire strategy. And almost nobody on the internet has named it. Now imagine being a brand new mother. Imagine the smell of a brand new baby. Imagine those first sleepless weeks when every nerve in your body is dialed up to 1,000. And imagine knowing, in the back of your mind, that some lawyer in a downtown office could file a single piece of paper that drops a court summons into your mailbox before your baby has even hit his 3-month checkup. Imagine that. Imagine the cortisol. Imagine the heart rate. Imagine trying to bond, trying to breastfeed, trying to sleep, trying to heal, with a legal sword hanging over the bassinet. That is what Cardi has been navigating. That is what every Georgia woman in a similar situation is navigating right now, today, while you watch this video. Let that sink in. Let it settle in your chest. Let it stay there until election day. And remember, the loudest weapon a woman has against a quiet law is a louder microphone, a longer memory, and a phone full of receipts. Pass this video on. Pass this story on. Pass the statute number on. Loud. Sustained. Organized. I love y'all. Stay loud. Stay informed. Stay protected. Tag your people. Comment your reactions. Subscribe if you have not already, because trust me, there are at least 3 more chapters to this story, and you do not want to miss a single one. We are just getting started, baby. We are just getting started. There is a season finale energy hanging over this story, and we still have 8 episodes to go. And to offset, if you are watching, and I know somebody on your team is going to send you this video at some point, I want to leave you with one final thought. The same legal system you tried to weaponize is the same legal system that just denied you. And the same public you tried to manipulate is the same public that is currently watching every single move you make. You picked up a hammer and tried to break a window. The window held. Now everybody in the neighborhood knows what you did, and we are watching the door. We are watching the windows. We are watching the back gate. There is no quiet corner left for you to slip through. Cardi. Stefon. That beautiful baby boy. May your home be peaceful. May your nights be quiet. May your lawyers be sharp. And may that divorce, baby, finally get finalized, so you can close the door on this chapter forever. May the next photo we see of that baby be on a normal Tuesday, in a normal kitchen, with 2 normal parents pouring cereal, with no statute number anywhere in sight. To every woman in Georgia silently watching this, knowing this is your story too, I see you. We see you. And we are going to keep talking about this until something changes. Promise. Pinky promise. Whole hand promise. Hot girl summer into hot girl winter promise. Drop your thoughts. Tag your people. Stay loud. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.